Hello and good morning, our ever amazing standout family, our beautiful standout family across the world, redefining standards. You're welcome once again to another interesting and insightful and educating episode of Standout with Patrick Uduma. Of course, it promises to be really interesting as it has always been, and today wouldn't be different. Standout, like we know, is a global organization that educates, exposes, and inspires the minds of young people through experiential teaching, knowledge sharing, and mentorship. It's indeed a rare privilege, as it always is, to have the mentor right here with us. So, with a warm round of applause from wherever you are, make welcome the mentor, Mr. Patrick Uduma.
Mr. Autocanon, the stylish, the amazing, the smile, even in the COVID pandemic, and your look, it's amazing. Thank you very much for what you do. I've been catching up all your secrets that is not visible and the visible one. Thank you very much, and God bless you. I hope you've been
Thank you very
redefining
much.
standard because I've been on a super cruise. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick, too. And thank you for all you do. Thank you for the experiential teachings you render and the knowledge you share to us. So this year is still on, and the word of the year has been rulership, and we understand that that word has been designed in such a way that it would materialize in our life. Can you quickly, before we delve into the business of today, tell us why that word was carved out by you as our mentor, why that word was carved out as the word of the year, and how you think so far into the year the word has been able to manifest in our lives?
Autocanon, thank you very much. It's an amazing how my desire is that everyone that come into our mentorship class is no longer a victim of life. It's not being controlled by circumstances or events or people, but should be able to rule in your life as a gift, expressed in all circumstances to your own advantage. So this year we started by rulership, a year of great responsibility to make a difference in our mental capacity, to make a difference in our health, to make a difference in our business, to make a business in our family, in our relationship, life endeavor. And so we're saying that we're supposed to have power. That's why we pray for 120 days, 120 days, because power will tread places, will give you that treading places to experience with a commitment to principles and standard in the formation of structures that outclass any situation with a controlling presence. So once you come in with your power, you have a commitment to your principles, you have standard in the formation of structures that you put in yourself. You outclass situations. Situation will not outclass you. Irrespective of the pandemic, irrespective of whatever it is, we still have wealth. God is going to give us wisdom, going to give us wealth, because when we are graced to build possibility, we're governed by possibility, we're governed by inequality, we're governed by structural, putting structure into our lives. So we're graced to build possibility through focused value optimization with organized detailed plan to invent solution. We have wisdom, fearlessly receiving instructions and unveiling masteries with the intent of application, administration, and management of resources with a difference. We got strength and uncompromising robustness of mind to continuously function in great character, mental soundness, with moral attitude to effectively deploy our skill. And if you're not getting there, it's not late. It's important you come into the flow to ask yourself a question: am I ruling life or life ruling you? As you start asking those pertinent questions, you will get power, you will get wealth, you will get wisdom, and you will get strength to move on. I've been a great beneficiary this year. It's been such an awesome time. I mean, few things that used to govern my life, or maybe like the pandemic, I never bothered because I know that I have strength. I have the mental capacity to define the pandemic into my own situation as well too. And we got wealth. Wealth is not necessarily about the money, but it's application of the resources you have. And we have the wisdom to tap into our knowledge and apply it into our life. And we have power. And that's where everything lies in, because power can influence your situation. And that's why it's a year of rulership, a year that will call to responsibility, and a year to make a difference.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick Uduma, our ever amazing mentor. Of course, I'm also a beneficiary to that because I can testify and I can completely relate to all of what you just said. Just the way the word of the day is not meant to only be used in the meeting, but it's meant to be inculcated into our vocabulary. That's exactly how the word of the year is also meant to be inculcated into our life through what you just explained. And in some ways, in many ways, in a lot of ways, I've been able to key into that, and it has practically manifested in my life. Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you, Tom.
Today, in the mentors table, we have a very important topic to discuss. And I want to thank you very well for coming up with this word connection. It's such a big deal that some people rarely connect. You see, the world has transitioned, has revolutionized in such a way that there's rare connection going on. People just communicate, people just talk, people just preach, people just teach, but there's no in-depth connection. There's no heart-to-heart connection. There's no genuine connection amongst friends, among colleagues at work, amongst family. There's no connection. At some time, someone may be trying to talk to someone, and it seems they are connected, but the truth is they're actually not. So it's something that has really bothered me. It's something that has really aroused my curiosity. So immediately I saw the word, I said, Mr. Patrick knows how to get us. And to a large extent, I trust that is exactly how everyone is inquisitive and interested and excited to hear you dissect these words to us today. So before we go into this, what prompted it? Why did you come up with the word connection? How exactly did you come up with these topics? Because they're very pertinent. They're very they are things that relate to we young people directly. So how exactly did you come up with these topics, and how did you come up with this one?
Also, thank you very much. I'll first of all let you know what we had dealt with pattern, and in the course of the last month mentorship class, I got back because I don't want to only talk about things. I want to be able to connect with them. I want to be able to be better on a daily basis. Like I always said, I'm coming from a failure point. I'm coming from the downtrodden. I'm coming from a rejected place. I'm coming from a trouble angle. And so therefore, I don't just only talk. I try to experience them. I try to practicalize them. I try to apply them. So walking into my street one of these days, I realized that I was disconnected from my street, like most of us are disconnected from our street. And I realized that the street was very filthy. The street was completely not what's supposed to.
Oh, sorry, guys. We just lost Mr. Patrick Uduma, the mentor. It seems there's some network or power issue going on over there. These are things we'll keep dealing with as long as virtual meetings, virtual events go on. Talking about connection, I'm really inquisitive to hear all he would say, because I know there's been times when I meet a friend, not necessarily a friend, when I meet a colleague, when I meet someone maybe at an event, maybe at a seminar, at a workshop, at a conference, and I might want to discuss with this person, I might want to communicate, I might want to raise a conversation, a girl, oh yeah, and I might want to maybe become friends and build a relationship, but there'll be no connection. So what's behind it? I'm very sure you can relate with these. What exactly is behind it? There might also be time when I would just run into someone and I don't have any intention to maybe be friends with this person or develop a relationship with this person, but you just see the connection grows naturally. For party A, you might try to engage the person. Oh, how are you doing? Fine. How did you get an invitation to this conference? The person may give you a cold answer that might just kill your interest. But for the other person, you just see that everything will just flow naturally. How exactly does this come about? What exactly is responsible for that? I'm sure Mr. Patrick Uduma will dissect all of that for us today. But while you're listening, do well to get your pen and jotter, because Mr. Patrick has a lot of interesting information to share. Of course, I have mine. And I never make that mistake, because they say the real attribute of a leader is not exactly to get followers and lead, is to raise more leaders. So Mr. Patrick has done really well in raising more leaders. And as we also lead, we need to learn from the leaders. So how would you learn if you don't take notes, if you don't get all of these into account? So do well to get your books and pen, get the information jotted, get it written down. And also, you could ask questions. You could ask questions from wherever you're watching, on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever. Feel free to ask questions, and Mr. Patrick, the mentor, is always willing and ready to dissect and bisect your questions. So let's exercise some patience, and he will be joining us right back. Oh, I'm not even done speaking and he's already here. Welcome back, Mr. Patrick Uduma.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's what one of our cardinal connection will be for us to take the responsibility to challenge the status quo of government, because it's possible that we can have these power, 24 hours. So that's why the generation that we have must not continue to the old challenge of accumulation. We're going to be talking about sometimes in the future the power of zero, because accumulation represents poverty. When you accumulate, you are poor. That's why I see in greatness, what is it? They talk about zero, the zero power. So every leader that accumulates is poor. And I can challenge that at any point in time. So like I was saying, the connection, people pass through their street without connecting to their street. People live in a home without connecting to their home. People live with their parents without connecting to their parents. People work in an organization
Hello, hello, Mr. Patrick, are you there? If the network issue from my end or your end? Can you all see Mr. Patrick and you can't see me? Or you can see me and you can't see Mr. Patrick? Because I can't see Mr. Patrick, but I can see myself on the screen, but I'm not exactly sure that's exactly how it is out there.
And so people do not connect to themselves.
As part of, okay.
So people do not connect to their real selves. So they live all through their life, living and unconnected to their originality, and live dissatisfied life. And one of the ways to understand that you are not even connected to your life is dissatisfaction. Every dissatisfaction that disconnects you or depresses you, shows that you're not connecting to your real person. Because dissatisfaction is supposed to energize you into a new you. So connection is, we're all connected in any way. We are connected, the whole world is in a wave. It's either you are connected or you are disconnected. You can be connected intellectually. People are not connected to their health, and that's why they eat whatever they want to eat, and they become obese, they become out of shape. So this is why it's important. Then again, the internet, the pandemic isolated us, and we're all disconnected completely. And how you look at it, when people say, oh, we're digitalized, you cannot be so digitalized that you cannot eat. And that food is coming from a farm. And that farm is coming through a process. And that process is coming through a transport system. And this transport system is connected to another process. So we are a system, independent system that interrelates. And as the time goes on, we will talk about why make people, why are they not connected? So we're going to deal with that. But I feel that it's time that we come back into connection, connecting to our roots, connecting to our families, connecting with our brothers. There are people who they will never hear anything about their brothers. And the only thing disconnecting them is probably a material thing, which will give up, which will go away, but yet they are still connected. So for me, I think it is important we deal with this issue of connection, coming back to our true self, coming back to our family, coming back to where we work, coming back to our city. Otto, back to you now.
Oh, okay. Otto. Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. The network has been breaking up.
Sorry about that.
Yes. So thank you very much for coming up with this topic of conversation. And before we delve into it, before we begin to dissect it, kindly tell us what exactly connection is.
Connection is relationship. Is the way in which two things are connected. Two things, attributes. They have their independent attributes, independent mind, and they relate. So they interface, in which a person or thing is linked, association with something. As I'm here, I'm connected with you. As I'm here, your problem is my problem. If I hear that Otto is crying, I'm likely going to cry. The connection between social attributes and productivity. So productivity is a series of connection. Your life is a series of connection. How you connect to your past will determine how you connect to your future. How you connect now will determine the response you are going to get. That's why I say attributes. I like to dive into serious mind of the past and the present. A particular gentleman put it this way: oil and perfume makes the heart glad. The sweetness of a friend comes from an earnest counsel. I'll say that again. Oil and perfume makes the heart glad, and the sweetness of a friend comes from the earnest counsel. So there's an attribute of a friend, there's another attribute of a friend. If it is oil, if it is perfumed, it gladdens the heart.
Okay.
So basically, one of the reasons why we want to do connection, number one, is to find meaning and purpose and deeper relationship. It is time for us to connect deeply, not on shallow waters any longer, but a little bit go deeper. Number two is to experience the past, the usefulness of the past, or the disadvantage of the past. Should I continue to connect to my past? How useful is my past? Or is my past a disadvantage to me? The second one is to eliminate patterns that don't work. There are patterns that are controlling us. We have to question, is this still useful in our now? And if it's not useful, it could be friendship, it could be whatever it is that has formed a pattern, it could be habits. We disconnect it. Is to be able to find our need and express them. Not that our need will disconnect us, but our need will be expressed. What's the need you want to be? You want to be a talker, you want to be a doctor, you want to be whatever that want to be. We want to see how we can express more from our need rather than our need ruling us. We want to be able to speak to be heard and listen to others. We want to be able to listen to others, and we also want to be heard. That's the place of influence. We want to be able to transform differences into possibilities. I have a different idea, you have a different idea. How can I transform them into possibilities? We want to live above inhibitions and fears, because when you are not vulnerable, then it can limit you. We want to see what we do with vulnerability that can open us into risk taking, that can create growth. We want to live a more satisfied life and more fulfilled life because we have learned the art of connection. And once we embrace this connection and
Oh, guys, it seems we lost Mr. Patrick again, but I think he will be right back here with us in a very short time. So far, I think we've been able to understand exactly what connection is. But one thing I'm inquisitive to know is the different kinds of connection, because I know in science, in elementary science, we were meant to understand that there are some connections where both parties benefit mutually. And there are some where one party benefits and the other is just there. The other doesn't even care. There are also connections where one benefits and the other suffers. So I would like to understand all of that. This is something I've already put down as a question. I'm sure you have yours.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Mr. Patrick Uduma, and welcome back. I was just letting our viewers, our audience, know that there's something I've been curious about, and I had already penned it down on my book to ask you. So I think I should just quickly ask you already.
Okay.
Are there different types of connection, or is connection basically just about relationship? Because I know in elementary science we were meant to understand that in relationship there are some relationships which are also connections. There are some connections where one party benefits and the other suffers. There are also connections where one party benefits and the other benefits. We talk about mutualism. We talk about I think it's parasitism. Take for instance the cattle that has tick and lies in the body. You see some birds like the cattle egret always on the back of the cattle, eating that. They are benefiting by getting the food, and the cattle is benefiting by getting the tick and lice off the body. But there are also connections and relationships where one benefits and the other suffers. So please, are there different kinds of connections? And if yes, kindly tell us about it.
So the power of connections is about to building relationships. It's about to build relationship. When you see a leaf, a particular leaf, all right, on the floor, you may think that that leaf is disconnected and it's on its own. But that leaf, as useless as it may look like, has a connection to another thing. And so it is for networking. And life is about networking. So if you are not networking, you are not connecting well. Then it is for inspiration. I will count over there. So the one that you think that is not benefiting is just a description. That so sorry about the break in transmission. We're trying to find a better solution. We've got all the three networks and there seems to be not connecting. So like I said, the one who think that is suffering may not necessarily be suffering, but it's connected to inspiration. Let me give you an instance. Let's say, for instance, you are connected to the motherless baby home, and you keep every month set aside your money to give them. You may not necessarily get anything from them, but they are providing you what they call inspiration. Let me tell you something. If, for instance, I got money and my money is a seed, and I do not have where to plant my money, it becomes a problem. It cannot multiply. So I have my money, but my money is not connected. So now If I have the motherless baby that provide me the nutrients of my putting my seed, I may not necessarily look like as if I'm getting something, but yet that nutrient is where I am dropping and I'm getting inspiration. I could come from where you're saying maybe that there's a relationship, a boyfriend or girlfriend, and the boyfriend is always bringing and the girlfriend do not bring. Now, I always said, you are not kind until you are kind to the unkind people. So even the one who is not giving to you is also helping you build a character of resilience and continuity. So in life, there's a connection, whether it is mutually, what you think about mutually beneficiary in the real sense or in the outer sense, there's a mutual effect. So I don't think that there's any connection that is not mutually beneficial. So talking about different kinds of connection, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. So there are several connections. When you see things and events uniquely, enjoying being in a situation or places that challenges you, the ability to find meaning and value and information and explanation. Because there are certain connections that may not be mutually rewarding, but may provide you explanation to life, may give you more information, may allow you to express your value, may allow you to find fulfillment and meaning. That's what they call the personal responsibility to the connection that they make. They become so deliberate. I can travel in a state. Two of us travel. You will make a connection, but another person will pass that and may not make a connection. So connection is our personal responsibility. I walked into a shop yesterday and I saw this gentleman who came to buy a ring and maybe he's getting married. I could be very vulnerable to say, oh, this guy, let me be on my own. And he was on own. I just say, hey, congratulations. How are you? It's like, you're going to get married. He said, yes, how do you know? I said, oh, you're happy. We got into a discussion. And this guy is supposed to be a high-ranking personality in the armed force. And in the process, we made a connection. It was my responsibility. It's also to understand that we make impacts and influences, thereby becoming mindful of our protection of our actions that bring harm to others. Maybe you're an industrialist. An industrialist, you are thinking about making money, but you're not thinking about the welfare of the community that you're making money out from. So you're polluting the environment, but you're just based on the fact that you're making money. But you do not understand that even though you're making money out of a community and polluting them, you are not connecting with them. It is also to build bridge of understanding. Connection is to build of understanding. And every great man connects with great understanding. And if you understand these dynamics, you realize that there is nothing that you connect to that you not get a reward. I don't know whether that answers your curiosity. Otto, does it answer your curiosity and question?
That completely answers the question. But then yes, it does. It completely answers the question. And I appreciate you for that in-depth explanation as usual. But then you made mention of a scenario. You created a vivid image of a scenario where you met someone in the shop yesterday. How about a situation where you meet the person and the person gives you a cold response? Oh, good evening and congratulations on your wedding or on your engagement or whatever. and he gives you a cold look and goes like, thanks, and and ignores you and continues doing what he's doing, and you try to communicate again, you try to keep the interaction and the conversation going on, but the person gives you a cold and stern look and response again. At that point, you will be, it's only natural that you will walk away and mind the business. What exactly bridges connections? Why exactly don't some people connect? Like, for instance, when you were away, when the network cut the connection off, I try to let the audience know one of my curiosities about this conversation. There might be a time when I meet someone, and it's only natural. Okay, let me use my meeting with Ebuka for instance. I remember when I met Ebuka at the Toastmasters event at Presidential, and it was just a smooth connection. Question answer, very nice communication, very nice interaction, and you just feel like a jigsaw puzzle has fitted in the right way. But there might be times when you meet someone and it's the complete opposite of that. And even if you exchange numbers and you try to call the person sometimes, it might be a very strange kind of conversation, and you will be tempted to drop the call and run away, and you will never call that number again because the conversation made you look like a stupid person. What exactly bridges conversation? What exactly hinders connection?
I think number one is to have a full understanding of what I call the independent choice. We need to come to the realization of our independent choice that is governed by a certain attribute of our choices. Number one is our belief system. How do you believe? Understanding that we have to constantly live in the consciousness of our unconditional acceptance as our being. You must understand that you are full, you are not a minus. You don't depend any external factor to validate you. You have to come to that knowledge that you are unconditionally loved, irrespective of people's response or attitude to you. You are unconditionally loved. So you have to train your mind to dwell in your original state. That is why relationship is an, like I said, attribute, different attributes that relates, that interfaces. And so if you take us out, we have independency on our own. If you take us out, so that is why it is important as we are here to understand that we are unconditionally loved. No circumstances, no event can reduce you, nor can subtract you, nor can make you unlovable, or that can reduce the love. That's why nothing can separate you from the love that has been deposited inside of you and is unconditional. So you have the right for self-determination. The other person have the right for self-determination. And so if there are commonalities, then we can relate. If there are no commonalities, we can repel. It just gives us that independent attribute to live by ourselves. So we have what they call self-determination, independent living, self-will to control any circumstance. So, for instance, I had to be my own judge, my best judge over my need and my best decision maker. If I push to the other person, he has an independent choice to either respond or to react to my own approach. And that's where we say you don't control outcome. Outcome is a gift. You are only going to open out to outcome because the same person or the same event that you want to relate with may not necessarily want to relate with you. and they were not there when you took the decision. You took the decision, so you need to understand that you are unconditionally loved. You determine, you have independent living. You have the self-will to control any circumstances, and you are the best judge of your need, and you are the one who make the best decision. So when you push a relationship, focus on your own intentions and motive, and not the other person's intention. And this is where the young people get it wrong. Nobody can snub you. When we say people are snubbing us, no, they have their individual need. They have their individual independent living. You can't force them. When you approach them with love, they have the capacity to receive, or they have the capacity to determine, because they are their own best judge. You cannot force them. So there's nobody that is a snob. Nobody. So when they tell you a snob, no, because at that moment, maybe my need is not association. Maybe my need is not to interface. Maybe my need is to be on my own. Your need is to relate. And so now you cannot force me into relating with you. That's what they call independent choice. And that's what they call the concentrated energy with a focused mentality. Because we are individuals of light, knowing that it is through our connection to our light that we know beyond the visible world. That is why we are living on unpredictable life or world, in which that we can't even trust the external authority or figures to give us ideas about the reality that will guide us. We need to be able to access information that will help us navigate the uncertainty, the waters, the troubled waters. And we are the ultimate authority of ourselves. So when you understand that each of us have different attributes, and we are our own best judge, and we are our own best decision maker, you cannot now force your decision onto another person for acceptance. If I extend my hand and you connect, praise God, that's beautiful. But if it doesn't change me, it doesn't make the other person a bad person. It's just that we are the one focusing our need. Our need at that material time may not necessarily. You find out that you've been trying to get to somebody. After a while, the person tried to reach you back. Now the need have changed. The perspective have changed. This person now start looking for you, and you now say, oh, I don't need, because maybe your need have changed. But if your need of that connect, you see there's a connection. But we try to force our need for people to accept us without recognizing that we have independent choice. We have that self-determination to see how we connect our need to other people's need. So that's why we are what they call the beings of light. And that's why we need to, at this point, be modest in our expectation. Be modest in our expectation of other people or other system, other circumstances. We have to adorn ourselves with virtue. Virtue here is intelligence, because we're intelligent beings. We have to come to what they call moderation. Moderation is midway. Midway means that you're not going to necessarily force yourself into people, but you have to be attractive enough. So you need to give allowance to other people. In Nigeria, we don't make allowance. Like now, people are calling me now, and they're saying, this man don't pick call. But I'm on my duty. But in my modest thinking, I don't have to say he's not picking my call, because I am not with him here to know what I'm doing. So if you call me now, my phones are ringing, but I can't connect with you. So the connection is true, but yet my need is to focus on standout, to redefine my standard. My need is not to answer that call. So that's why we have to be moderate in our thinking. We need to start being efficient. When a man is very efficient, he uses the right wordings and right actions. And that what brings us into resourcefulness, valuability, and productivity. And this is where I'm going to hang on this. When we go back into thoughtfulness and attention, thoughtfulness is when we say watch and pray. But we're saying thoughtfulness and attention will give you a strong connection, because now you are more considerate with an articulated sound mind and words. And the final on this question will be simplicity touches the point of excellence. Make use of every opportunity, ensuring your speech is graced with pleasantries and interesting with the right combination of words and action. Otto, I know you have another thing to say.
Oh yes. Before we talk about resourcefulness, thoughtfulness, and attention, I would like to take you back a bit, few centimeters back, where you just talked about connection and needs. A great teacher and mentor, a global leader, while listening to him speak the other day on TV, he made us understand that connection is about people before self. And he faulted a lot of leaders in this light. He said that's why leaders just go and build a borehole without understanding the people's needs. He also told the story of a certain community where a certain government realized that they were always walking miles away to the stream to go and fetch water. So the government realized that was a problem for them, because they just carried out the assessment from their offices, and then they built a borehole for them in their community center. But these community women will still leave the borehole and pass all the way and walk all the way to the stream to go and fetch water. So it got them thinking and wondering until they realized that the water wasn't the issue, but that was the only time they had to come out and commune with each other and talk with each other. You see them in their numbers, 20, 25, 30, talking, discussing about village issues, farm issues. That was the only time they had to do that. So they had to now go again and sink another borehole close to the stream, just so the women would have clean water. So coming from that school of thought, he made us understand that connection has to do with people, understanding people's needs, and not always about ourselves. Not always about ourselves. So if connection has to do with people, would you say you would it's right, or it's most ideal to focus on your needs first of all, and completely, absolutely, at that point in time, ignore people because your need doesn't exactly correlate or coincide with theirs. And where you made use of where you made an illustration about the calls and your duty, I think coming from that that teacher's point of view, as he related it with government and this story, how exactly can you fine-tune or explain that to our understanding?
So I'm always going to give an example, and I'm giving this example to illustrate this because I sit in the place of leadership. Okay. And so now I walk into my organization and I saw the man with blisters. All right. And realized that he was going through a health challenge. And leadership is ability to take people from where you met them to a better place. Instantly, you will forget yourself at that moment to make another higher connection. Now, what was the connection? Was to tell the guy, oh, drop whatever you need to do instantly, take 2 days off, go and rest, pick up another person to take his place. That is connection. But hey, don't forget that one of the things we talk about connection is impact and influence. Impact and influence. I will tell you that Africans leaders are no leaders yet. I think they are businessmen. If African leaders begin to connect truly by understanding that we have an independent mind that will be able to connect to the people, we will not have people get into the office and take on $700 million that will not, in your third generation, will not finish. They do not have connection. Don't forget, I told you that accumulation, excess accumulation, is a sign of poverty. And so when leaders begin to understand that for them to connect well, they have to take their own connection of wealth to the connection of poverty, to bring poverty into greatness. If you are great and everyone around you, you are the greatest great. If there's anything that way, you are poor, you are not great. You are supposed to surround yourself, irrespective of the cadre, in their own way, simplify greatness. And I say greatness is not about the manifestation of greatness. Greatness is the great thing to do in an uncommon thing. Greatness is the great thing that you do an uncommon thing. When you hear that a governor just recognizes a child, says slow down, and you were able to relate to that child, that's greatness. If the governor can give away his food to somebody who is hungry, that's greatness. It is not about the army, the number of protocols that follow you that makes you great. It is when you can step out of the convoy to identify with one of your subjects. And what is the thing that leads to this? It is the second point I call the learner's mind. The learner's mind. In the learner's mind, we said that curiosity breeds awareness. Curiosity breeds awareness. Questions deepen. Quality questions improve the quality of connection. Most leaders do not ask quality questions. If you want to improve your life, if you want to connect well, if you want to connect appropriately, the first level is to raise your curiosity to a higher level. The quality question you ask will improve your life. We are disconnected when we judge and act out of our bank of memories. The greatest thing that can disconnect you is a bank of memories. When you are so embedded in your bank of memories, or maybe you had a bad day and you keep the memory, then you realize that your connection is breached. So that's why we have to learn to bring our mindset to be able to ask my question, why am I the way I am? Questions are potential link to great connections. It can be potential to create, to form a breakthrough, and to inspire, or to transport you, or to lead you, or to lead into stagnation, or devaluation. So learners question or judges question. When you want to connect well, be a person of great connection, the first thing that will rule your is open-mindedness, curiosity, creativity, which will promote progress and possibility to connect and to lead into understanding and discovery with possible solution. When I get into people, I put myself, how can I connect to this guy? Like the guy I connected yesterday, I just look at him and I pick up one attribute around him. And I'm asking myself a question. How can I be of help to this person? How can I be of help to this person? How can I be of help to my family? How can I be of help to the institution? How can I be of help to this marriage? It changes the dynamics.
Yes.
Now, when you're also thinking about yourself, you are self-centered. It disconnects you because it is self. But when it is others, you see, you're extending your fellowship, your attribute to see how you can create a better life for other person. The greatest men and women of great influence are people who not necessarily forget themselves, but begin to reach out other people to ask yourself a question. That's why if you want to survive in any country of not yours, the first question will be, how can I contribute to the economy of this state? How can I contribute to the economy of this nation? How can I contribute to the economy of this vicinity? If you go with that question, what happens is that you now begin to release your potential to connect with the problem of that. And once the problems can be addressed, then you can connect. This is the tool that entrepreneurs use. Entrepreneurs get into a flow, and what they do is to find out the problem in that place. And once they are problem, they can provide a solution. It means they're connected. And that's one of the things you need to remove yourself is don't be a judge. Don't ask questions from judging point. If you judge people, maybe for instance, you just left school and you work hard and you're now in government or you're now in a higher position, and your classmates who has not found their bearing, you start judging them. You say, if you have gone to school on time, you would know that you can't solve a problem there. Why are you disturbing me? It's not an empowering question. It's not a connecting question. How can I help this person? Yes, you cannot help everybody. You can also have the mindset that people are bad. And so you're now asking questions based on how people are bad. When you judge people or judge a situation, you close your mind. You become critical. You focus more on problem. You become defensive. You become reactive. Rather than you become so negativity. That is why the problem, why when you touch people, they are critical. The first thing that comes out, what does he want to do? They become defensive. They want to protect themselves. They are not vulnerable. They don't want to take risk. They're in their comfort zone. They cannot connect. So most of the time we are negatively wired. Our first response will be that this person can harm us, or this person can take advantage of us, or this person maybe want to collect our money, or this person want to take our position. It is that conditioning, that brain connection, that is the first response. And that's why you see there's an apathy when you want to make a connection, whether to a system, whether to people, or whether to a state. And the only thing that would change that is when you can change the kind of question, because question will change you and improve your connection. The future begins with thinking that's represented in the question that you ask yourself. Questions are the core of how we can listen. Questions are the core of how we can listen, how we can behave, how we can think, and how we can relate. Questions pushes us to new realities and create more rewarding relationships and accelerate connection link.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick, for sharing
Thank you very
such
much.
insight. I would like to know, and I'm sure our audience will also like to know, how exactly can communication foster this connection? Because it all starts with communication. What exactly are the right words to say, when to say, how to say? How exactly can communication? And I'm very sure that's why you came up with the book of this month. The book of this month by John C. Maxwell. I'm very inquisitive to begin to read it already. But since we are right here and we have the privilege to have you right here, I would like you to give us an insight to that. How exactly can communication foster connection?
Also, always we need to realize that we are a seed as an individual. Your action is a seed. Your words, they are seeds. Your feelings are seeds. Your motives are seeds. And as a light, that we're talking about awareness, bringing consciousness to your awareness is very important. If I understand that, if I come to you and let me give you an instance, I'm a marketer, and then each time I go somewhere, you meet up with all kinds of people from security men to the receptionist, to maybe to the secretary, and before you get to where you're going. And I realized it could be you don't want to do marketing because marketing can either reduce you or to make you. So now when you understand that you have unconditional love, the first thing will be is always project yourself with the worst situation that can happen. We call it about negative visualization. Negative visualization will go before you to create the worst scenario and be able to do a risk analysis, what it would take to overcome this, assuming this happened. So the first thing that will happen when you recognize that as a person, you are a seed, and how you relate would depend on how they harvest or what you are going to get in turn. So one day I got into a particular organization and we forgot our past and we needed to access to that place. And my strength was getting connection to people. And I saw this particular lady who wouldn't allow us to part. And when I look at her, I said, your head is not good. The hairstyle is not good. She said, what is your business? I said, hey, I needed you to get attention to you because if I said your hair is good, I'm sure 1,001 people who have passed here would have said your hair is good. It didn't make sense. So I needed to make a difference. And I got attention. And I said, well, I know that your hair is good. He said, okay, please go. You see, that's intelligent. I wasn't going to insult her, but I also said it in love to get her attention. And I received back love. So you see, appearance matters a lot. Appearance matters a lot. And there's the way our appear defensively. The other person will be very defensive because you see, like, I'm not sure who this person is. So it's important we improve our appearance. Our overall appearance is a great magnetor to be able to magnetize, and it comes from inside. That's why we talk about authenticity. That's why we talk about the beam of light. We have to be genuinely liking people and respecting people. Don't focus on your need. Focus on them, like them a little bit. Let it be the respect. If you go to like a marketer, let me also use the word marketer. You know how you approach to get men will depend how they will approach you. If you approach them forcefully that the boss is your friend, they will make you go through that protocol. But it's the way you recognize them and you appear. Why do you think that the banks want to dress well? Why do you think that they want to drive a good car? Why do you think that they have to put a good image? So you have to genuinely like people and respect people. You have to genuinely show people interest in them. If you don't show people that you are interested in them, but rather than you're just showing what you want to collect, you disconnect with people. You have to have an inspiring look to be acceptable. That's why some of us here, we understand that dimension. We connect to everybody because there's an inspiration, because you love them genuinely. You have the ability to show that you accept affection. Like what you are saying, there are people, no matter how you want to show them love, they will never connect with you. And such people is like a wisdom of the water. When water is gathering, if you allow the water will come in. But if you don't allow the water will find expression. So it's important that we should be able to receive and give and open up ourselves to accept affection. We need to maintain constantly positive look. Positive look is very attractive. I will always say this: if I have a lover and maybe I'm angry, or those that I used to be that get into emotion. Once you see your lover, what do? You just pretend as if nothing happened. So that's a positive outlook. The, 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 the power of communication word is very key. There's a scripture that I like so much. It said, a soft answer turned away wrath. With soft words are kings persuaded. When you code your word well, not in falsehood, but in originality that comes from you, and you communicate it as a seed, trust me, you'll be accepted. This is why it is important to eliminate what I call the fear factor. The fear factor is, I said, control breed fear. When you want to control how the outcome will come, you're fearful. Control breed fear. And what I call the entitlement spirit. Entitlement spirit disconnect people. So you get into a flow, you want people to respect you. It doesn't work that way. But if you respect them, there's a natural flow of that respect back to you. So we need to be able to eliminate entitlement. If we are going to connect with people well, if we are going to connect with environment well, if we are going to connect with circumstances well, eliminate entitlement. It ought to. No, you should have. There's no this language of should and ought to is they are insulators to our connection. And that's why the use of empathy will destabilize fear. Let me tell you, the power love is such a great love. Let me tell you, each time I walk into a shop, I will just say, I connect with this shop and I love this shop. When you connect with anything, you become one with it and there will be no danger. When people hurt you and you say they've hurt you, you have disconnected from that hurt and you are treating it as an external, it will hurt you. If you go beyond and love them, based on a superior knowledge, you neutralize the hurt effect. That is why I keep saying, if we are not vulnerable, if we are not open with events, that event will affect us. When we withhold affection because we're afraid to be hurt, you will be constantly hurt. If you go into any connection with fear, you will lose the intensity of you because your originality will not be expressed in that connection. So your attribute is diminished. That's why even though you start with fear, you have to encourage yourself and say, hey, what is your need? What's the worst that can happen? What's the way? You have to neutralize that fear to connect through love. And that's why I say love can't know error. So you don't not see the error, but you see possibility. You create possibility out of that event. The other thing is self-defense. Self-defense is very dangerous. Self-defense will not give you the opportunity to connect with people. But when you defend others, you are indirectly defending yourself. And so you can make more connection with people. I don't know whether I've answered this question well.
Oh, yes, you have. You have. Thank you very much. And if you're just joining us, it's still StandOut with Mr. Patrick Uduma, our very amazing mentor. Feel free to drop your questions. I shouldn't be the only one benefiting from the mentor at the mentor's desk today. So I completely understand and relate with the quotation from the good book where you talked about a soft answer turning away wrath. Recently, there was a study, a research carried out by the Peace Corps. It's a department of the United Nations that is focused on peacekeeping. And to buttress that point, they say that 10% of conflict comes from different views and opinions, while 90% comes from communication and responses. So I completely agree with that. Someone who has been listening right here just asked, Is there a special kind of connection that has to do with our inner self? Because I know we've been talking about connecting with people, connecting with colleagues and friends, government connecting with the people they are leading. Is there a kind of connection that has to do with ourselves, personal connection with self, with our inner self?
I mean, this is the true life, connecting with yourself. Uh, so for a very long time, I felt that I was not a handsome man. I felt that I was rejected. I felt that I wasn't going to do well. Even when I have accomplished great feats, I couldn't get to understand that I've done well. And you will think that is when you become this or you've done this. No, you're not connecting to your originality. 3 years when StandOut started, I started connecting to my deeper self. For the first thing I did was to ask question, who am I in this earth? And it began to unveil to me who I was. And let me tell you how I get into this. You know that I wanted to get somebody who can connect me to a higher life. So I started praying for somebody like, Mordecai connected Esther into a higher life. Like the servant that connected David to recover stolen goods from them. Or like this young lady who connected the high-ranking officer into a God in Israel. So one day, a particular gentleman walked into my office and said, whatever you want, whatever you desire, whatever that you're longing for, become it. And that's when I talk about become. Become means is a two word. Be. Be means a state. And come means advance. So everything that you want, unless you become it, you cannot attract it. You cannot become success until you are success. You cannot be faithful, wanting self until you become faithful. So once you become, then that's the state of recognizing your potential, your capability, your strength, the thing that make of you. And that's when I now start discovering who I was. And I realized that I'm a builder. And in that builder, I now said, okay, I'm a builder. So I build with everything. I build myself. I build men. I build organizations. I build cities. And I build a nation. And I build businesses. So I recognize and link up with myself to my higher person. Now I've accepted myself. That's what they call self-awareness that brings self-growth. So now I now simplify, went on to how do I become a great builder? How do I sustain that? The first thing by bringing quality, to become a quality person so that I can offer quality life to other people so we can connect. And that's why you see in the standard, no matter what it is, we want to give people quality food, want to give quality respect, want to give them quality attention so that we can connect with them. So quality. And the other one was the productivity. So productivity brings me hard work, to be able to develop mental capacity, to understand who I am, to understand my weaknesses. And the third one is what they call perfection. Perfection is not in the sense of being a perfect person, because nobody is perfect. Once you attain perfection, you die. What is perfection is being better than myself. So I do not compete myself with external people. I can admire you and strengthen my resolve to be better, but I cannot compete to be like you. So I've accepted myself. And the other one, the fourth one, is possibility. I believe strongly that if I believe it, then it's possible. So there is no circumstances that I look at as if I'm disconnected from this. No, I will think about the possibility, because I can build from that impossible position to create my own advantage. It is not the satisfaction of others. It is now the satisfaction of yourself. And nobody can judge you. Nobody can condemn you. Nobody can reject you. Nobody can disappoint you. Nobody can actually cause you angry, because each time you have discovered yourself, what happened is that every action is related to your inner person. That's why I came out with the core value system. So I have the 8 foundation of my life. Number 1 is goodness. You hear me constantly say, I dwell in goodness. It means that your insult is good to me. But if you insult me, maybe I will sue you to court. Just a warning, because I can go to court if you insult me. Anyway, that's a joke. So now, if you insult me, I look out for good in it. I am kind. And not I want to be kind, I am kind. So core value is kindness. What's the third one? Respect. I respect people. I respect the young. I respect my age. I respect everybody. I respect institution. What's the next one? Hard work. I mean, I've been into radio today. I'm here. I'm going to another meeting. Of course, all throughout the night, you're preparing your message. You're preparing your thought. You're developing yourself. What's the next one? Order. Order for me is organization. Order is an organization. It's a system, to live a system life, because beauty connect to order. Wealth connect to order. It's a process. Now, patient. I'm patiently waiting, because if you have to get an enduring wealth or enduring life, you need to be patient person. The other one is love. Love is the greatest energy. So I look at myself, I say, Patrick, I love you. Every morning I come out and I say, Patrick, I love you. You are telling me you love me is an assent to my acceptance of who I am. So I'm not bottled by any other person. And the last one is to keep my word. I'm still learning on that one, to keep my word. So you see, I have laid a foundation and I've accepted myself. Most times things hit me, I'm reminded. That is why people who understand this will tell me, oh, Patrick, you said this. And I will call to remembrance. It's not about my pastor say, yeah, I like my pastor say, or this person say, but what is your own philosophy in life? What is your governing code? What are your attributes that you have recognized? What are your strengths? On a daily basis, as you observe them, you realize that there's an inner control of your life. I walk into a place, they walk me out, and they thought I was going to react, and I accepted it. You know why? Because I respect their opinion. That opinion is their own independent choice. So I must not interfere with that. That's why people quarrel themselves about their father. He said, my father don't like me, or they like my elder brother, they like my elder sister, or there's a professional treatment. No, you have not accepted yourself. Accept yourself, because even in that form of rejection, you can find true meaning and purpose into it. It can either grow you or it can diminish you. When circumstances do not put you into victimization, where you say, why are all these things happening to me? When you keep saying that word, you have not come into realization of the potential inside of you. Because every circumstance can advance you. Every circumstances can be utilized to your own advantage if you know how to connect into your true self, discovering through yourself, and you use it to your own advantage. So even when people reject you, you're not going to feel that they rejected you. You just say they just empowered me, because I know there's a greater inside of me. And that's that word. When we say greater is he that is inside of me, what is inside? It is the recognition and the awareness you place on yourself to connect to your divine strength and to be able to utilize your strength into all circumstances rather than circumstances utilizing you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you.
The perspectives you come from are always amazing and mind-blowing. Sometimes I try to decipher your thought process, but that is exactly what makes you the mentor. Thank you very much. I think at this point where we're about to draw the curtains to this session, so I would implore everyone, because I know there are things you're curious about, there are things you're bothered about, there are things that keeps you wondering and pondering. This is your opportunity to get that clarified. So quickly drop your questions, and Mr. Patrick Uduma is here and ready to respond to them. I like when you talked about the finding yourself in dejected moments and seeing that as an opportunity to excel. That reminded me of a quote from a pastor who said, times you consider absolute disappointment might just be God's divine redirection. So I came to that appropriately. So
have you stayed with a friend
ask
or your
this
brother?
question, and it's my very.
Have you stayed with your brother?
Say
And
again?
at some point, your brother, if you have stayed with your brother, all right, maybe in your brother's house, and your brother said, to this day, you are going to leave this house, you will always condemn your brother. 10 years down the line, you say, thank God my brother kicked me out of that place. Was your brother wicked? No. He just has empowered you. He may not have done it rightly, but trust me, that experience, if it's not negatively reflected, but positively reflected, it energizes you. It is when you start converting situation and bring out your internal structure into that situation and utilize it well, so that the situation will look at you and say, yes, you have utilized this meal. That's when you have started accepting yourself and you are living that higher life of yourself. Yeah.
Very correct. Very correct. I can relate to that because I remember when I went for my National Youth Service Corps, I struggled to get posted to Lagos or Abuja because I love the big cities. But that's, I would say, was just God's divine redirection, because I got posted to Yenegua, and all I did in Yenegua, I realized somewhere down the line, somewhere into the journey, that if I did all of this in a city like Lagos or Abuja, it wouldn't be so impactful like it was in Yenegua, because waste management was a big problem there. Tree planting was a big problem there, as opposed to Lagos and Abuja. Like in Abuja, there's no space to plant trees. There are so many trees. So that wouldn't have really been impactful. So that was just God's ultimate redirection.
So that's why we say that you are a beam
to
of
our
light.
viewers out there, keep your questions coming in, because
that's why they
yes,
say that's a beam of light, a beam of light. Your light cannot light in light. Your light must shine in darkness to bring out your light, the significance of your light.
yeah,
So if you have been in Abuja where there's light, your light will be
would
shrouded,
not
will be,
shine.
and you take more energy to shine, to outshine those people. But see, when you went to a dark place, your beam of light connected, resonated, become impactful. You connected with them, and you see it took you to the presidential handshake.
Very true, very true. Thank you very
In the
much for
there are
that
too many
perspective.
contenders, and it would have taken you a lot of lobbying to have been recognized in such a well-developed city.
Yes.
Maybe the presidential handshake will not. So have you seen how you have connected with yourself into that locality, because the expression of that was your recognition that you wanted to the West management to be intact. And now you have expression, a field, the nutrient place that you were connected into your environment, and your environment gave you a presidential handshake.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. Thank you always. I see that your teaching today has been very well understood, that no one is ready to ask a question. I'm very sure they all have their books and jotters filled to the brim, to the point that they've understood everything. But I have one question, which is the last question before we draw the curtains to this session. We believe that there's a certain way we are, but then there's also a certain way people think we are. And in reality, there's actually the real way we are. I know when you talked about connecting with people and creating an impression and all of that, it got me wondering and and thinking about this. What's the correlation? Because there's also a saying that the voice of the people is the voice of God. The minds of the people is the minds of God. So the way you reflect in the eyes and in the hearts and in the minds of people, it's exactly the way you are. But in the real sense, there's a way we think we are. It's like a friend of mine said there was a time he went for a fellowship in I think it was Nairobi, Kenya, and people were complaining while he was speaking. People were like, he should take it slow, that he speaks too fast. But he never in his life thought he was a fast talker, because he's a Nigerian. The Nigerian man is just a slow talker. He never thought he was a fast talker. That made him understand that there's a way people see him. There's a way people perceive him. So how exactly can we correlate this? How exactly can we balance this out? The way people see us, the way we think we are, and the way we really are.
Also, have you ever worn a cloth that you so liked and you thought you were on top of your best dress, and you thought you were going to have accolades? Yeah, people were going to recommend you, and all throughout that, they not even a single soul said anything. Or you bought this nice shoe, and I mean, this is you have done a kill, and you got back not one day, not 1 second. Nobody paid attention to it. We, yes, live for ourselves, but we do not live internally for ourselves. Because when you feel the strength of others moving along you, as their presence leads you to power of the wings during this journey across the sky of life. When we are buffeted or there's an unexpected God, we could choose to find refuge in the loving shelter of friendships, friends, and family. The kindred spirit chart a way for us through the cloud and the rain ahead. All of move fluster when we move together. I know people will say, I'm living my life. Think about, you have everything in life and you're your own, and you cannot relate to people. Don't ever be misled by that. Say, oh, the opinion of people don't matter. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, go and stay in an island. Don't buy shoes from anybody. Don't eat anybody's food. Become an island. That is why the first thing that connects you to people is not the physical thing. You remember when I talk about feeling? Feeling is the language that goes to living things and non-living things. If your feeling is right, you find out that it gives you access to connection to people. If your feeling is cocky, God resists the proud and give grace to the humble. There is a relationship when you do not come with the right spirit. Yes, your opinion may be right to you, but it can't connect to the other person. We know right preachers who are looking for money. They are connected to money. We know preachers who are connected to fame. They are connected to fame. We know teachers who are connected to influence. Their spirit will go around that. And if people will decode it, that's why we're intelligent beings. You see, as StandOut, if I come in here and all that I want to do is to showcase my prowess, my speaking ability, and all that, men cannot be touched. I finished radio today, and a particular young man called me. He said, "You're a great man." I said, laughing, "You're a great man. I went to a particular program because you said it. And today, this is the second day I'm talking to you. You're a great man." Why? It is not about what I said. It's the spirit behind what I said. So it's important for you to understand feelings are strong connectors. You need to test the spirit. Don't live in the high hall. Once in a while, go to outside your gate. I know you live in a secluded place. Call. You're connecting with them. It will shock you when there's a danger. They will connect back to you. Because why? Once in a while, you can ask them, how are you doing? But if you stay on your own, you are not a great judge of your own. Because life is useless without impact and influence. So think about it like a leader. Why do you think that people throw governors pure water? But if you ask that governor, they say, I'm doing everything. But are they really doing everything? They're not doing everything. Otherwise, why would they be pure water? So you see, you need to be able to balance your thought process to connect with other people. That's why we're saying question deepens. Quality questions will be able to connect you, to give you a little ideas about the other person. You know what I do? I went to buy gas, is it 2 days ago? So I walked in there, I was smiling. So first of all, I connected with them. When I was going, I asked the young lady, how did I connect with you? He said, when you came in, you were smiling, you were warm. And so we relaxed. That feedback mechanism, that criticism is a feedback for readjustment. Not too many people go back to their colleagues or to their mother. How many times have you asked your mother, how do I connect with you? How many times have you called your sisters? How do we relate? Am I cordial? Am I cocky? How do you see me? How can you sit down with your get man to say, how do you, this feedback helps you to connect with people because we're not on our own. So it is important for us to justify how, by just getting a feedback question, even expose ourselves to criticism so that the people who are recipient of that, why do you that a company, maybe you go to a restaurant, they'll give you feedback, a card, please tell us how we treated you, so that they can readjust because they want to connect with you more. So if you are a teller, and each time people come in, you think that you are doing them a favor, very soon they will disconnect because you're not connecting with them with all your skill. So the skill must have an interface because we all have different attributes. We need to find a way to ensure that our attribute interconnect with the other person. Get a feedback because it's important.
Thank you very much, always, Mr. Patrick. Thank you very
Wow.
much. And in the absence of questions, I would say thank you on behalf of everybody for always being there to give your experiential teachings, share knowledge with us, and mentor us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you, my viewers.
That brings us to the close of this session, The Mentor Stable with Patrick Uduma. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, at this
Thank you,
point,
my viewers.
we'll introduce the book of the month. And I can see that the book of the month has been carefully selected in line with the topic of conversation, the topic of discussion for today. The book of the month is Everyone Communicates, but Few Connect.
Connect, yeah.
Yes. Everyone communicates, but few connect. And that has been all you've been talking about today. The book was written by a global leader and mentor, John C. Maxwell. Yes, John C. Maxwell. Yes. And we want to implore you all to go read this book this month, and you would realize that you would understand absolutely with great and better insight what has been taught today, what has been discussed today, because you would understand how you can make every communication an opportunity for a powerful connection. Do well to go back and read this book. The title of the book is Everyone Communicates, but Few Connect.
Cool.
The author is John C. Maxwell. If you realize over time, we've been reading and studying a lot about John C. Maxwell because he shares similar values with our mentor, Patrick Uduma. Mr. Patrick Uduma, what do you think about this book? What are the things you expect us to grab, to learn from this book? Why did you come up with this book, basically? Please tell us before we wrap up.
Otto, thank you very much. My heart desire, my heart apple is to see everyone in StandOut and the global world come to the realization of their individual power and to stop living a victimized life. The difference when people become successful in their economy is connection. The difference why people live a healthy life is connection. The success to marriage is nothing but connection. The success of leadership is nothing but connection. The success of motherhood is nothing but connection. The success of fatherhood is nothing but connection. If you can connect well, trust me, the resources of the heavens and the earth will be made available to you. And that's why it's important for me that we were able to communicate well, and so that we can make strong connection to ourselves and to the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick Uduma. And I think that has been it for us today at StandOut with Mr. Patrick Uduma. Do make sure you join us next month, first Saturday of the month, because that is always the day when we have the privilege to hear directly from the mentor. Also follow us on our social media, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Our handle remains So I Stand Out. So I Stand Out. So I Stand Out. It's one word. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the month. Happy New Month.
Happy New Month to everybody.